Yeah, hello. Hope you can hear me, and let me know if the music is too loud. I'm trying to play some music from Monstercat. It's a music service. I want to have it somewhat in the background, but let me know if it's too loud compared to my voice, so I can adjust it. But welcome to the stream. I'm gonna paint some landscapes. I have several printed landscapes that I want to paint today, and I'll at least do 2, maybe 3, but I have like 5 landscapes printed that I have to paint for Murph. I'm gonna bring over about 20 landscapes that I'm gonna give away at Murph. Yeah, hi Lama, and hi Matt, 1K1 UK 3D printing, and Scott Willis, welcome, and Shalom, welcome, and Robert, welcome. Thanks for joining in. Yeah, so I'm just gonna get started. I haven't prepared a lot. I just have this landscape. I have to get some of my paints and start. So I'm gonna switch to the camera for the landscape. I'm gonna start with this one. This is a rather small one of a mountain in the north part of Iceland. Look like I'm been slacking. Yeah. So I have a lot of paints that I'm trying to accumulate a good number of different colors, so I don't just have one blue or one green. So as you can see, I have like full shelf of different colors. Yeah, hi Walter, welcome. Thanks for joining in. I'm gonna be painting some landscapes for Murph. I've created a list of people that I wanted to give out landscapes to. I was having like 16 people in the list, and I have printed out like 20 landscapes, so they're gonna be given away. And I'm not sure if I'm gonna do like I did on Earth, like a drawing where you put your name in a box to get a chance to win. But I might also just, if I meet someone that I really want to give out a landscape to, I'll just give it out. So I don't think I'm gonna do a drawing. Yeah, hi Don, thanks for joining in. I was making a list, and I sent several landscapes to people just with a mail. Then at Earth last year, I brought over quite a number of landscapes and give it direct to people. Then I had the drawing. I gave away, I think, 12 landscapes at Earth, but now I'm having 20. Yeah, the models, I export the STL files out of my mapping software. One of my hobbies slash side jobs is to create maps of Iceland. And I have a very high detail 3D data for Iceland. And I have a specialized mapping software that I create the maps for. It's like topographical maps. In that software I can select an area and export a STL file. It's very detailed, and like STL file for a map like this is maybe 1 gigabyte in size, so it's quite large. It's the source data that I use is from various sources, both the Icelandic mapping agency and also several online sources. So it's quite big. I think the whole data set for Iceland is like 3 terabytes in size for all of Iceland, so it's very high detail. So with this landscape, this is a mountain called Hlíðarfjall. It's in the north part of Iceland, and here's a town called Akureyri. I actually lived there for several years when I was a teenager, before I moved to Reykjavik, the capital area. Reykjavik is in the southwest part of Iceland, and this is in the north part. It's maybe 4.5 hour drive from Reykjavik to go there, and my mom still lives here, so I go there quite often. Yeah, hi Skalda, thanks for joining in. Yeah, okay. And did you travel around the island, or did you stay in the capital area? It's been really popular over the last few years to come to Iceland. Like maybe in the last, let's say, maybe 5 years or so, the number of tourists has grown a lot. So we have a lot more tourists coming now than they did before, and a lot of people from the States. So for this area, most of this area, at least this area, is the Akureyri town, and there's farmland here, and then this mountain, and there's a very nice ski resort up in this mountain. People go there in the wintertime to use their ski going down the slopes. Okay, as far as Hub, okay, yeah, that's a quite a good trip over to Hub, and you've seen the black beach and all that with the waterfalls by the main road, like Skógarfoss and Seljalandsfoss. You probably drove by those. Yeah, it's very popular for people to fly in and stay in Reykjavik and do like day trips by the south coast, and maybe stay one night or two. But you can like do a 1 day trip from the capital for all day long driving by the south coast. It's quite popular. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you slept in the camper. Yeah, okay. And you can basically stop a lot of places and just camp and wake up and drive. A lot of people do that. So now I'm putting a little bit lighter green to mix up with the dark green. If you haven't seen me paint before, I try to start with green, then the dark in the mountain, and then back with green, and push the green up the mountains again. So it's a little bit going back and forth. So what have you guys been up to today? Is it just morning for most of you in the States? Yeah, we did the Friday Hangout for the European version last night, and me and Dawn were the two people in the stream. I was about to just go live on my own and say we're not going to have a stream because I'm all alone. But Dawn saved the day. Was on the stream with me. In this mountain here, in the top, there are like small pockets of glacier or snow that don't melt in the summertime. It's like not considered as a glacier as it's so small, but still some snow that doesn't melt over the summer time. So it's like pockets of glaciers. Yeah, 1 p.m. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're doing a bear build. Cool. Are you tweaking to it? What are you doing? I did the bear build the other day and I was really happy with it. It was a good process. Did it on a live stream for most parts. I'm really happy with the printer. Yeah, hi Mike. Thanks for tuning in. I'm painting away landscapes to bring to Murph. I created a list of people to give away to. I'll bring 20 landscapes, I think, this time. Yeah, I saw your short video with a view, Sholm, of the pistol. It looks good. With, what you had in Fusion. Saw that tweet. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I still have to. I bought the kit for both my Prusas. Yeah, hi Gunnar. Yeah, I've done airbrushing as well on one landscape. I still have to experiment a little bit more. I did one just to try it out. It's a totally different process. Yeah, the bear upgrade is solid. I thought it was like just a good build, fun build to do. I didn't have any problems, so to speak, with the Prusa MK3. I just wanted to do this upgrade. I'm gonna lighten up the landscapes a little bit. I found it a little bit maybe too dark. So put some whites into the colors. Yeah, it's good fun to finish the prints. I had no experience with painting and um, airbrushing or anything. I just started to play around and had good fun. But for most parts, it's just random strokes and trying to cover up some colors and having them blend nicely and in a somewhat natural fashion. Now just putting in a little bit of white just to brighten up both the green and the mountain dark places. Are you using an optional smooth idler bearing? No, I'm using just the Bondtech. Yeah, I'm just using the Bondtech as it comes from the Prusa factory. I haven't. Yeah, okay. So he knows a little bit about airbrushing then. Yeah, I'm a total noob when it comes to airbrushing. I've, I've used it a little bit when I do my Star Wars models. Like, here's one I did earlier. Like the base colors, I used airbrushing and painting in the colors with my brush. Um, like this one, I used airbrushing to do the base coat, then painting with a brush. So I've used it a little bit, but I'm still learning. Yeah, 20 years, okay. Yeah, I watched some Twitch streamers that do airbrushing on those small figures, and I find it amazing how much detail they can put into the small. Yeah, okay, you did the Bera extruder as well. Okay, I didn't do that. I was thinking about buying the Bondtech extruder that you can buy separately now from Bondtech, just to see how it goes. The moment I'm waiting also for Matsumi bearings and rods for the Prusa printers. So at some point I'm gonna take the extruder apart. With a bare extruder, do you get the infamous inconsistent extrusion issue like people are having with MK3s? Yeah, I made an order for the Mitsumi rods and bearings, but still haven't arrived. I guess it went in normal mail, taking weeks to come here. Painted good. Hi, sir. You have to drop by and get your stuff. Yeah, I have to try the bare extruder upgrade. Maybe try that out before I order the Bondtech extruder. Now I'm putting a little bit darker brown in the cliff areas before I put black paint in. Yeah, I'm always busy. You can come by and appear on the stream as a special guest. So now with a dark brown and no black, I'm just creating a little bit of contrast in the cliff areas. Trying to be careful not to smudge it too much down into the lower areas. Yeah, I can have a sheet of paper for you to do finger painting on. Maybe I'll put a little bit of snow as well in the mountain. Now it has more contrast, the snow. Looking good. Now I have to just do the water or ocean. Find a pencil for that one. For most parts I can see the coastline. It's not completely accurate. Sometimes if the coast is like on a flat, comes up to a flat area, it's difficult to see the coastline, and sometimes I just have a aerial photography to have a reference. Yeah, hi Guðjón, hi Otto. know that this is not entirely accurate of the coastline. Yeah, I think in this stream I have 3 Icelandic people. That's like a record for me. I usually don't have many Icelandic viewers. Yeah, this is Akureyri and Hlíðarfjall. I know this area here is not entirely accurate. There is some difference in the coastline. I have to let the blue paint dry a little bit before I kind of fix it. I went a little bit too much here. There's like a river coming through, and there's a road bridging over here with a bridge. I think some of this area is actually not an ocean. So I have to wait a little bit for it to dry. Yeah, maybe this part of the area is not entirely accurate. I think the acrylics, they're rather quick to dry, so it doesn't take a long time to cover up a mistake, so to speak. So I think this is more realistic. The greens here. There comes a river, and the river is flowing maybe in 2 or 3 areas before it hits the ocean. But most part of the river is going here. Over the 1.5 years, I started 3D printing just 1.5 year ago or so, and I was counting. I probably do like 35 to 40 landscapes in total, and I've given every single one of them away. I've done maybe 3 landscapes on commission that I've sold. People asking if I could do a certain area, but or the other are just given away. So I think now for this one, this is done. So this is Akureyri, that's a town in the north part of Iceland. Hlíðarfjall, that's the name of this mountain. There's a ski resort for the people in the north part of Iceland go there to ski, and even people from Reykjavik go here to ski because in this area there's a lot of more snow than we have here in Reykjavik. So it's common for people to go there on the weekends to ski. So I'm going to set this aside and start the next one. So there you have this one. Yeah, thanks for joining in, man. Take care. So I think this will be next one. This is actually in the north part of Iceland as well. It's a big mountain range. The other one I was doing could be, it's not in the same scale, but they are somewhat like situated somewhat like this. So this part of the ocean is this part of the ocean that is going down a little bit more south. So it's a similar area. I grew up in a farm that is located a little bit south of this area here. So I'm really familiar with this area. I've traveled a lot, both in summertime and also in wintertime on snowmobiles. So I'm quite familiar with this area here. And it's quite nice. There's no inhabitants in this area. It's just grazeland for sheep, and mountains and such. So now starting again with the greens. And I've done this landscape several times, and none of the paintings are similar. Sometimes I use darker colors and sometimes lighter colors, and sometimes I do like somewhat winter edition with a lot more snow than the other ones. Those mountains are like the north, almost the most part of Iceland. There's a lot more snow in this area than other areas in Iceland, for most parts. And this is called Flateyjardalur, this valley here, and Fjörður, this one. So it's quite a tongue breaker for you guys to say Flateyjardalur. You want to practice on that. I'm using a little bit brighter green as a base coat for this one. I found the other green that I was using, the other one, it was a little bit too dark. There's no like one right way to do this. It's just experimentation all over again. This is a much bigger area than the other landscape I did. So in comparison, the mountains they're not so high in the model because this is a bigger area compared to the other one. But those mountains here are quite high mountains. It's a very beautiful landscape area. Really like to go in this place. So as you can see, it's the same process I was doing on the other landscape, putting green in and then brown and then green again and back and forth. Trying to find a good balance between the two. So were any of you on the Friday Hangout stream? And not Don was, of course, he was on the panel. But any other of you? And if he was on the stream, what did you think of it? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we were just two people on the panel and just we were pretty quick covering the subject. So we just chatted about everything, and I spoke a long time about volcanoes and glaciers in Iceland. People find it amazing how we want to live here with volcanoes and glaciers and floods and all the nature happening. Yeah. Yeah, if you come here, plan to come to Iceland, you hook me up on Twitter, and you can maybe meet and have a beer or something. I love meeting people that come to Iceland. I've had two people from the States visiting me on the trip to Iceland. Chris from Practical Printing, and then Dan from Slash Engineering. And I even did a short video with Dan on the mosquito hunt. When he arrived, I invited him for dinner, and he was with his wife. Yeah, you were there as well. Yeah, that's good. It's when we are so few people, like 2 or 3 people in the panel, it's difficult to keep on subject for one subject. So, uh, pretty good interest in volcanoes and glaciers and stuff like that, so, and landscapes in general. So I can have a lot, can talk about it for hours. I guess. And I'm putting in red in the mountain tops just to see how that plays out, blending that into the brown color. Green and red form a brown color, and just gives a little bit different shade of brown. You can see the difference in contrast of this area compared to this area. So I think this technique worked out quite well. I'm gonna do it on the other parts as well. And first, I'm gonna have a lot of paint in the brush. I'm just using light strokes just to get some paint evenly distributed on the mountain peaks, so I don't get like a big blob of paint in one place. And now when the brush is somewhat diluted, I can work it in a little bit more. For printing, it's like for this one, it's a quite big one. This maybe takes 25 to 30 hours. So, some that are a little bit, yeah, maybe I would say maybe 20 to 35 hours, depending on size. So, it often takes like half a kilo of PLA, so, just about a half a kilo. I think this method made the mountains stand out a little bit more with the red. What do you think? Gonna put some black as well into it. Small strokes of black. Yeah, thanks. I'm always like just testing out. Sometimes when I like, this was an experiment of taking just it's magenta red, normally not maybe found in the landscape, but since I'm painting on a wet green paint, it's gonna blend with the greens and create a brown. So with this technique of painting over again and blending the layers, I get all kind of colors. And if it doesn't work, I just have to wait a little bit and repaint. So there's like minimal risk of damaging the whole thing. So for this one, I'm not gonna put snow. I think I'm gonna keep this as like a summer version. Just lightly touching the green parts, just to get more character into the green parts. So now I'm gonna go with a brush to create the water. And what I like to do for the water is just have blue and white and just lightly mix it together so it doesn't form like a uniform color. So it will have a, you can see the blends just somewhat together. I don't want the water to be just a single shade of blue. Favorite filament, I would say Filamentum in general, Filamentum Extrafill PLA, and the Prusament PLA, they are also excellent. I'm really happy with the Prusament. Colorfab I like as well. So, but if I would have to pick one out of those three, I would say I use most of the Filamentum, but I got several rolls of the Prusament, and I think those are working very, very cool. With the colors, I like all the colors, but like it depends on the models. Like if I'm doing a mechanical part or prototyping, I like to use just gray or light colors for prototyping. for the landscapes, I don't really care. I just paint over whatever. I try to buy filament in bulk from Filamentum for the landscapes. Last time I had, yeah, this is a example. Here I'm using the just different colors of filament, cleaning out somewhat empty spools using the palette 2 with a function of feeding in the next filament when the first one runs out. I had several spools of filament that was running out and just fed it through and printed, sorry. And I also have had good, yeah, the ColourFab, yeah, can be available here in Iceland. Yeah, I haven't. Have you gone there, Gunnar, to see what options they have? For most part, I think the price for the filament sold here in Iceland with the shops are just too expensive. I just order it in bulk. Yeah, the multi-spool mode in the palette is a great option. If you have 3 spools that are almost empty, and then you have the 4th spool as a good full spool, you can always end up using the full spool, but you clean out the other 3 before that one starts, so you can get rid of the somewhat empty spools. Yeah, the ColourFabs they have a lot of different types of filament. I used the ColourFab HT and XT filament and the engine filaments from ColourFab, and they're all very good filament. But like the engine, it's like an engineering filament. It's not cheap. Yeah, it's like the PLA PHA filament from ColourFab. It's not pure PLA. It's PHA has some properties in it, so you can't really compare the ColourFab PLAs with the normal PLAs because it's PLA PHA, so it's a different material. So it has some other properties than just normal PLA. It's stiffer, stronger a little bit. So it's expensive, but you can't really compare it to just normal pure PLA. Yeah, shipping to Iceland is a killer. It's always difficult. Like when I buy a filament, I try to buy at least 10 spools to have some economics in shipment. It depends. Some resellers calculate the shipping in a way that if you buy one spool, you pay some amount, and if you buy 2 spool, you pay the twice that amount. And even if you buy 10 spools, you pay 10 times the amount of shipping. So not everybody has the economic of scale in their shipping options, but those that do, I try to use. Yeah, 3D Prima is a good option for us here in Iceland. I know a lot of people here in Iceland are using that one. I haven't made the order from them myself. I have to check them out at some point. And I do a lot of just ordering all kind of filaments to do filament reviews. So I haven't really stuck to one filament manufacturer. Like a filament from Polyalchemy, that's really nice looking filaments. But it doesn't have any or very low layer adhesion, so it's not good for functional prints, but for showpieces it's really cool. Now they have the FX series, and I haven't tried that one out. I want to try that one out. Yeah, I haven't like tried to get a very cheap PLA from China. I know one coworker of mine, he has been ordering filaments from China. That's just Banggood, or I'm not sure where. um, Sometimes he has gotten pretty decent filament for a low price, and sometimes he has got a total crap filament for the same price that was brittle and just old and with no manufacturing date and was just useless. So he made some order for 5 rolls and all of them were crap. So it's a risk with those cheaper filaments. So now I painted the coastline. So I think for this one is done. Yeah, are there prices going up as well, Gunnar? Yeah, so this is like a summer version of this mountain area. No snow this time. So this one is done. So I think I'm gonna do maybe one more in this stream. I have like three landscapes that I have printed so far that I need to paint. Maybe I'll do this one. This is a volcano area in the middle of Iceland, middle of nowhere basically. And this is a big crater for volcanic activity, and there's a lake in the crater. There's a lot of like ash, and there's almost almost no vegetation in this area. So no greens, just browns and grays and yellows and total different color set. So as a base color for this landscape, I'm gonna use yellow. Yeah, thanks, Don. So this color scheme for this one is going to be totally different from the other ones. Like up in the highlands we have so much variety of colors in the landscape. We have volcanoes and geothermal activity and all kinds of rocks and stuff. So it's total different experience than going in the habitat areas. So this is called Askja and Öskjuvatn. The lake is called Öskjuvatn. So this is basically just a primer coating with the yellow. Get everything covered up. Yeah, the color mixing is 100% just me experimenting on what to try and figuring out. Um, Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not work. I have no like training in color theory or but I've just found out by experimenting. I try to go for a certain color with the mixing. And I just experiment on. And now I'm trying to create this light brown uh, with a yellow as a base. So where I have less brown, it's a little bit lighter. Then I put more brown in to get it a little bit dark. So like in the flatter areas, the yellow is more prominent. And then in the mountains, like here, I have a little bit more brown, also to get more contrast. There are pretty big portions of this area that is just plain lava. Um, some of it is very old, whereas there are more like some gravel and sand in the lava, and sometimes in some places it's not so old lava, so it's more just black, just black lava. Slowly adding more dark colors in. in this area, there's a lava field close by. The US astronauts that were training for going to the moon in the Apollo missions, they went into this area, and there's a hut here that they stayed at. Because there are endless lava fields and just no vegetation or anything anywhere nearby, so they thought this would be the closest thing they could get to train for the moon lunar missions. So there's a quite good story of the locals helping out the astronauts, traveling in the area and showing them around. And they were like testing equipment and such, and also just get used themselves to surroundings. Yeah, it's if you find like a documentary on the preparation for the Apollo missions, they will mention their training, and part of that training was to come to Iceland. There's like a museum in the north part of Iceland. I'm not sure. I think it's in Húsavík, a town in north part of Iceland, that they have put up like souvenirs and such from that training period, like an astronaut's suit and some things that you can read upon and see their adventures. So you can see from the colors, this is totally different from the other landscape. It's like day and night. And as with so many places in Iceland, there's geothermal activity here as well. And the geothermal activity creates a lot of colors in the rocks. I'm putting in some reds as well now. Yeah. Do you mean Siglufjörður? Is that the place? I printed out and painted Siglufjörður. My mom, when she came to Iceland a very long time ago, she came to Siglufjörður and lived there for quite some time. I printed out the area, painted for her. Yeah, this is coming together slowly. I still have to paint the lake in here. And in this area is a lot of like black sand as well in the flat areas here. I'm putting in some blacks in the sand. Yeah, there is like, I know this area here is more black than it actually showing up. There's a lava field or lava stream goes in to this area, but I have to blacken up a little bit. I don't want to get it too dark though. Yeah, it's a totally different color scheme than other ones. Gunnar, are you gonna watch the MMA fight with Gunnar Nelson? It's tonight. Yeah, I like to watch. I don't usually watch fights, but when Gunnar is watching, I will normally watch it. Yeah, I think I'll darken it up to a degree. I don't want to darken it up anymore. There's a lot of contrast, even though it's a little bit lighter than it shows up on the camera. But gonna do the lake now. we have to wait a little bit. So there's some still wet paint in the lake. Yellow underlying paint is coming through as a green a little bit with a blue paint. Just have to do the first coat and let it dry a little bit before I do the next coat of blue. So this lake is very deep. It's just a volcanic crater that was spewing out lava, and then the volcano activity stopped. The lava tunnel just fell down, so there was a huge hole in the ground. After quite some time, it filled with water. Yeah, I could do that with an active volcano. That would be funny. I was talking about the volcanoes on the Friday Hangout stream last night. People were saying I should do an active volcano version. Maybe I could do one of Hekla. That's an active volcano we have. And I have to wait a little bit for the. Yeah, it was a good stream, and thank you, Dawn, for jumping in last minute. I was about to just cancel the stream because I was not gonna do it just one-man show. I needed someone to be with me. So thanks for saving the day, so to speak. Yeah, part of this process of painting is waiting for the paint. Like now I was painting blue over the yellow part. That blended together, so it's a little bit greenish. And I have to wait a little bit before I do the next turn of blue. Try to start again. This water isn't really clear because of the geothermal activity. There's like a hot spring as well in the lake. So it's not very like a clear mountain lake. So to some degree it's not so bad it isn't purely blue. Hey, Ægir Skúlason. Hi, ég Íslendingur. Velkomin. Yeah, this is a record stream with now 4 Icelandic people have joined in at some point. Normally I don't get any from Iceland. So Ayer, what 3D printers do you have? Okay. Yeah, normally it's people from the States and UK and Europe. Most like if I go into Google Analytics and see how distribute between the countries, people that travel to Iceland. No, what? Not travel to Iceland. What's my channel? About 0.2% of the people watching my channel is from Iceland. Yeah, Canada. Yeah, of course. Canadians. But like 80% of the people is from the US. Quite a number of people from the UK as well, and Canada. Yeah, okay, we get it, Ayer. You don't have to tell us your bathroom schedule. I don't know. Yeah, hi Ron, welcome. I don't know how many Icelandic people have 3D printing, but like for the Icelandic 3D printing Facebook group, there's like 20 people in it, and I don't know why there are so few people in it. Yeah, there's like almost no activity in the 3D printing Icelandic group. Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, hi Scott. Again, I don't need those type of fools in my channel. Yeah, have you seen him before? I was just putting him in a ban. Don't want those people in. Don't get the motivation for people that are just coming to a channel to try to be funny, but they're just assholes. Zero tolerance for those people. Silver acrylic. I'm not sure. I tried out. Let me see. This one, Panduro acrylic gloss, pearl and React. It's like a silver color. But actually, the most used silver I have is the silver from the box that you sent me, Ron. I still have those, and this silver is quite good. So this was sent to me by Ron, the Happy Extruder, quite some time ago. The metallic paints in that set are very good. So if you know where to get it still, you could try it out. Yeah, I think for this one is gonna be done. I'll try to give it somewhat of a contrast similar to the area. Always, I've done this landscape before, that was totally different. So it's just a mountain volcano up in the highlands of Iceland called Askja. So this is Askja and Öskjuvatn, the lake. So it's a cool project. I have two more landscapes that I haven't painted, so I think I'll do one more on the stream. I've been streaming for 1.5 hours. At some point of time my hands will start to give in. I'll have to take a break, but I'm feeling okay in the hand now, so I'm gonna continue. So this is a part in the northwest of Iceland. Here is a glacier called Drangajökull. This is Hornstrandir, this area here. It's very remote. There's like all in this area here is no inhabitants. There are very few inhabitants in this area and in this area in the south part here. But on this glacier, on this mountain range, it's just Arctic fox. That's the only habitat, and Arctic fox and birds. But, it's an area that are quite popular in the summertime to go hiking. You go, it's like a 7 to 8 trip to hike in this area. You hike in a circle. Usually people go here by boat and hike in the mountains and go back with a boat. Yeah, I have like zero tolerance for those, and if people are, I'm a mod for a lot of YouTubers, and we try to just ban people right away because it's no purpose on giving them a chance. They are just looking to make trouble. Just adjusting things for the camera a little bit. This is a quite bigger landscape. It's a pretty big print. Just like, I'm gonna measure it out. 34 by 36 centimeters. So it's quite big, big plate. No, Gunnar, I don't know that person. I know personally very few people in Iceland that has a 3D printer. There's one guy at work and one guy that I previously worked with here in the capital area that I know of, that I know personally. But I know there's a lot of people having 3D printers, like in the maker spaces, and people that attend also in the schools. But I personally don't know any of them. Also in this area there's not very much green, just by the coastline. In the mountain there's a little more, the vegetation is mostly like moss and some grass maybe. So there's like more like green brown colors in the landscape, moss color. So I'm blending the green and the brown a little bit more than usually maybe. Yeah, I haven't. You're probably the only people beside me that I see active on social media in regard to 3D printing, showing like doing projects with their printers and such. So I thought there would be more people just having fun with their printers, doing projects and such. My son was on a field trip from his school to one of the colleges here, Tekniskólinn, and there he found some guy that had like 2 or 3 3D printers in a classroom, and he talked to the guy and said his dad was having a YouTube channel and called my name, and that guy, he recognized me, so he was watching my videos, but like on comments on my videos, I hardly ever get comments from Icelandic people on the videos, so I have like very little idea of what my Icelandic audience is doing, or what they're interested in. Yeah, hi there, at Harv Kulkarni. Sorry, I'm butchering your name. Where are you from? At yeah, sorry, I have trouble saying your name, but where are you from? I'd like to know. So there's a lot of moss, lot of moss in this area. There's also a huge number of very tiny lakes in this area here, but they're so small I'm not going to paint them in. They're just tiny in compared to the scale of the landscape, but like this area is probably hundreds probably hundreds of small lakes. Guðrún Sæborg. Okay, I've never heard her name. Is she active on Twitter or somewhere? Yeah, in scale, it would be like less than millimeter in size, and I don't know their locations necessarily. I can't make them out in the landscape, so Same with the rivers. The rivers are so small I can't really paint them in. Yeah, okay, Icelandic Pie Group. I'm not in that one. Yeah, the good fishing spots. Yeah, you have to come to Iceland, pay a guide to get to the points. I'm not going to expose the areas. It's a secret. Yeah, we have um, quite good rivers where you can fish salmon, and also mountain lakes where you can get some other types of fish. I'm not a fishing guy myself, but I know a lot of people like to fish in lakes and rivers. Now I'm putting in black. Yeah, hi Hawk, Ben, welcome. I missed you from last night stream. Me and Dawn were just two people with the stream. Now with the black paint I'm giving some contrast to the mountains. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no problem. We had like a 2 hour stream, me and Dawn, talking about first CAD software and then just whatever. It was good stream. We had like pretty, yeah, the audience was taking part as well. So I was talking about Iceland and volcanoes and glaciers and all sorts of stuff and related to 3D printing. We covered CAD software pretty quick. I showed some examples of my models and such, but then we just started to talk about whatever. Yeah, more about Iceland. It was like informative stream. If you wanted information about Iceland volcanoes and glaciers and floods and volcanoes in the glaciers and such. Yeah, use SolidWorks. I haven't used SolidWorks. Never tried it. I'm using Fusion 360 for my projects designs. Yeah, for the EU stream, we have it every other Friday. So after 2 weeks, we'll have a stream, and the subject will be multi-material printing. Then the US streams are the other Friday. So next Friday, the US stream will be, and that's a different time zone, of course. So if you're in the Europe time zone area, you can watch our streams, and if you're in the States, then you have the US streams. just painting in some whites, blend in with the blacks, create more gray, like gravel color on the mountain, like on the top of the mountains. In some areas it's very flat mountaintops, just with gravel, and in the lower areas there's like moss. So I'm trying to emulate how the mountain and vegetation and all that comes together. So now you can see all the colors. Now I have to paint in the glacier and then the ocean. Yeah, Autodesk has quite a number of programs. They have eaten up a lot of programs over the days. So this glacier called Drangajökull. This is like medium-sized glacier compared to other glaciers in Iceland. The only one of the big glaciers that I haven't been personally traveling on at some point. So I really want to go here sometime. For most parts I can see the outlines of the glacier in the model, where the smooth surface of the glacier meets the rough surface of the gravel ground in the mountains. If you have a look at this link, this is a map of Iceland that I create, and I'm using that as a reference when if I'm having trouble to find out like the coastline or the shape of lakes and like the glaciers as well. This is like a web map of Iceland. Trying to compete with Google for maps. Now the glycerine, so now I have to start with the coastline. When I'm using the brush, I have to concentrate a little bit more than I do when I have the big swab because I'm following the coastline closely. Yeah, thanks for joining in, Scott. Take care. And now I have this big area here that I have to cover up. There's some blue paint. I'm trying to follow the coastline first. If you do, I will come after you. I sell those maps to be used offline. I don't take piracy of my maps lightly, just to let you know. People have tried and are not happy when I send them bills after the fact. For most parts, like $10 to $15, depending on area and size. You can also buy bundles of maps, but you get maybe 3 or maybe 5 maps for the price of 3. And if you go to Escort, my website, you'll see the coverage. For this area, it's Hornstrandir, this area here. Yeah, if you go to the website escort.is, you see the options to buy the maps. Use an app on your phone or tablet. Here in this area, there's a lot of like small fjords. I'm trying to follow along the coastline. No, if you just need the control lines, check out Landmælingar Íslands. Just get the source data there. Yeah, 10-meter long Space Odyssey ship. That would be something. I think I'm gonna get a bigger brush for this big ocean area. It's gonna take forever with a small brush. Yeah, my maps are just like a book or a paper map that you buy at the bookstore, so you can't take those maps I create to do STL file. But if you want to play around with STL files and landscapes, get Cookies. That's a free software. Then the information from Landmælingar. Then you can create STL files like I'm doing. That's a bigger brush. So now the ocean was covered up pretty quickly. A little bit darker blue here where it's deeper, and more lighter blue here in this area where it's not so deep. So now this one is done. A lot of gravel and moss in the mountain areas. Then the glacier, Drangajökull. Then the coastline with all the fjords, like here, all the fjords in this area. This is a quite big area compared to some of the others, so the height of the mountains in the model are not so high, but there are decent mountains nevertheless. So this is coming out pretty nice, I think. Good fun. So now I have 4 landscapes done on the stream. I have 1 landscape more, but I'm gonna just go ahead and start. Then I have painted all the landscapes I have. Yeah, thanks Don, Ron. And yeah, thanks Don and Ron. Gonna try using this big brush a little bit instead of the foam brush. Just to try it out. Yeah, this will definitely be the last one because I don't have any more landscapes printed out. What I found for most of the streams, like doing 2 landscapes are pretty good. I have problem with my hands and start to get really painful issues in my hands holding the brushes. Normally I have to quit after maybe 1 hour. That's approximately two landscapes. But for some reason I'm still going. Yeah, I think 2 hours is pretty good for a stream overall. I'll be maybe half an hour, 20 minutes to half an hour to finish this one up. I think that's pretty good. Trying out this big brush, see how it goes. Still have to do more experiments with the airbrush as well for landscapes. Maybe I'll do that next time. Try to airbrush 1 or 2 landscapes. So most of this area is farmland, like all the in the valleys here is farmland, and this mountain areas is just mountain areas, and there's a small forest as well in this area here. So for most parts it's just grass and some trees and normal farmland. So I'm covering for most parts just green, and then we'll start with the rocks and mountain colors. And here in this area, exactly here, well, that's where I grew up on a farm. Istafell, that's the name of the farm. Seems to be working okay with this brush to use that one. Yeah, I'm always buying more paint. There's a store that I buy those paint from, and I'm always coming to the store and buying more paint. Sometimes they have a very limited amount, maybe just one black or one white tube, and I always clean out like all with the brushes. I always clean out the stock. I used quite a lot of paint today, I would say. Yeah, the I was doing the ocean part on the other one, this one, and they were so big area, so I tried out using this brush for that one, and that worked okay. So I had this brush in my hand and decided, why not just try to use this brush instead of the sponge. So I wanted just to try it out. That's and it's working okay. It's a quite bit different tool. But, it seems to give me okay results. And blending the colors, I'm doing really big strokes to get a good gradient from the green to the brown. Yeah, I'm printing up standing down like this. Doing that way I get much more detail in the landscape than if it was sitting on the bed. And also I can do it corner to corner on my CR10, so I can print a bigger landscape than I could if I would have it flat on the bed. So back, putting in more greens. So it's like the battle of the vegetation versus rock. Who's gonna get more coverage? Yeah, that would be something to 3D print a spaceship and send it to orbit. Putting a little bit of gray color on the mountain tops. This area I'm quite familiar with because I grew up here and we had sheep in the farm, and the sheep went all over these mountains, so we had to herd them down in the fall. So I've been up on those mountains a number of times. No, I did not. I was so young when I lived at the farm. I was just a child. Didn't think of that. This is also going to be a summer version with no snow. In the summertime, all the snow in these mountains melt away, so I'm not going to put snow. Yeah, hi Ali, welcome. This is the fifth landscape I'm painting on this stream. Getting close to the end. Been streaming for 2.5 hours almost now. This is a landscape of Icelandic area called Kinnarfjöll, this mountain range. It's a landscape that I 3D print and paint. And this area is the area where I grew up when I was a child. I've been doing a number of landscapes. Here's one with a glacier. Here's one with a mountain range. Here's one mountain I did, so quite a lot of landscapes done on this stream. 5 landscapes in total. So I'm just about being finished with this one. This is like a summer version of this area. Yeah, about I printed in one case I printed an area, like 3 prints of the same area, glued the prints together and created a bigger area, but for whole of Iceland it would be too big. But excuse me, I had to sneeze. There's a small lake here that I'm gonna paint blue, and I'm done with this one as well. So now the lake is in and this one is done. So this was doing in a different way than all the others, with a big brush instead of the sponge. So yeah, this is the final one for today. Kinnarfjöll, this is the name of this mountain area, and here's Ystafell, a small farm that I grew up in. And here is a small lake called Ljósavatn, and there's a school here that I went to when I was young. So that's this area. And I did this area here, just to recap before I end the stream. This is Drangajökull and Hornstrandir area in the northwest part of Iceland, a very remote area. There's like no inhabitants in all this area here. Only a few people live in this area here at the southmost part, but no inhabitants here. That's one. And then this mountain range and valleys, Fjörður and Flateyjardalur. Fjörður and Flateyjardalur, this one. And also there's no inhabitants in this area, just mountains and sheep. There are a lot of sheep in here in the summertime. This one I did, this is Hlíðarfjall, and here's a town of Akureyri, town in the north part of Iceland, and the sea here and some mountains. The final one, a totally different landscape. This is up in the middle of nowhere, so to speak, in Iceland, up in the highlands of Iceland. This is an old volcano. It's a volcanic crater with a lake in the middle. And there's a lot of ash and lava fields, and it's a totally different color scheme than all the others. So this is just a recap of what I've been doing on the stream. So I've been streaming for 2.5 hours, and I think that's a pretty good stream for me. I want to get some food at some point, and I think that's a good point for me now. So I thank you all for watching and taking part in the chat. It's been quite active chat during the stream, so I thank you guys for taking part. It keeps me company to have you guys talking and asking questions of what I'm doing and such. So for now, I thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.